Times for that though.
Oh, lovely right hand. Visage this guy.
Back he comes with a right hand of his own. And the crowd coming alive.
Oh, in those middle rounds. There's a right hand.
Right hand.
As it fought Carrington drops Castro.
Decision on the judges' scorecards.
Good left hand.
Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's Pete back with Knockout Knowledge, and we have so much to talk about. It's been such a long time, but let's talk about the fights that happened just over the weekend. This past Saturday, there were 7 titles on the line. Start off in the UK, then it went to Puerto Rico, and then we ended the night in New York. The first title fight was in Newcastle. It was a IBF women's lightweight title match between Northern and Jen Zin. And that fight was okay. It wasn't her best performance. She's known as a knockout artist. I know females aren't really known to be knockout artists, but she's definitely one of them. Jen Zin had a game plan of smothering her and avoiding the big shots. And it worked, but it wasn't enough to sway the judges. It wasn't enough to do anything. The champ did land one big punch, and it did stumble her, but it was at the end of a round. And Jen Zin survived, but in the end, Tarhan pulled it off still. Before I jump into the next fight, which was the main event in the same card, I do want to make this 3 of the winners from this Saturday won their titles by fighting almost the exact same way. And let me get started with Josh Kelly. So Bakram Makhmudov and Josh Kelly were the main event in Newcastle, and Lord, that was such a good fight. So I thought Bakram, he is such an aggressive. We haven't seen him since he defeated Tim Tszyu. And not only did he defeat Tim Tszyu, he destroyed that man, took his soul. But Josh Kelly knew that, so he had a game plan. Josh Kelly was boxing. He was keeping his distance. He was smothering when he had to. He was counterpunching all night, and that is what led him to win. He even dropped Bakram with a counter jab, I believe, and just kept his distance in that round. That round, he could have chose to continue attacking, but he just kept his distance, kept dancing around, and won an easy 10-8 round right there. But in the 9th round, Bakram did eventually get to him with his pressure and his aggression, and he did drop him. But that did not sway Kelly to get into a firefight. He still kept composure, still had the same game plan, and cruised to a majority victory. All right, now let's head to Puerto Rico for my boy Xander Zayas. He was fighting fellow champion Abbas Baru in Puerto Rico. And let me tell you, I love Xander. I remember seeing him when he came to Tucson. I believe he was only 19 at the time. And when I saw him fight, I was like, yo, he's going to be somebody. He's going to be a champion one day. I just felt it. I knew it. And he has not proven me wrong. He's only 23 right now, and he boxed beautifully. He, in my opinion, should have got the unanimous decision. Somehow went to a split decision, but he did box beautifully. He kept distance, put pressure when he needed to. In the 12th round, he gave the crowd a treat because he did not have to box the way he did in the 12th round, but it was just complete war. They did not separate at all in the 12th, and I think he still won that round too. So, split decision for Xander Zayas. He is the now unified champion in the junior middleweight division. He's the only unified champion in junior middleweight. That says a lot, and he's only 23. He called out Boots, he called out Virgil, he even called out Josh Kelly, who I just talked about, just won. So we'll see who's next, but future's bright for that man. I'm very happy for him. And while that fight was happening, we had to go to New York for Shu Shu Carrington and Carlos Castro. They were fighting for the vacant WBC featherweight title. And this one was explosive. This one was a banger. From the very opening bell, they were getting it on. I do believe that after 5 rounds, Bruce had a slight edge, 3-2. But Castro was very much in this fight. He even hurt him in the 4th round with a temple shot. And in the next round, continued putting that pressure on him. So it was close, but eventually Castro started fading away. Eventually, Shu Shu was separating himself. And eventually ended it in the 9th round with the most brutal knockout of the entire night, in my opinion. So Shu Shu Carrington is now the new WBC featherweight champion by knockout. And to end the night, we still at Madison Square Garden, where Shakur Stevenson moved up in weight to fight not only the reigning WBO 140-pound champion, also the Ring Magazine champion, Teofimo Lopez. Now, if you know anything about Teofimo Lopez, he's very explosive, very athletic, known for his knockout power. However, in the 140-pound division, he has yet to show that power. And I believe Shakur knew that. Shakur boxed Teo's head off the entire night. Complete shutout. I've never seen Teofimo Lopez look this way. And in my opinion, I'm not saying this would have helped or anything, but he had his dad in his corner. And his dad gave him almost no advice, nothing. Just told him, where's your power? Where's the footwork? Where's this? Where's that? You need to hit him. He gave almost zero advice. It was terrible for Teofimo. I really do feel for the guy. But Shakur outboxed him the entire night. I believe he only won one round the entire time. William Zepeda gave Shakur Stevenson a better fight than Teofimo Lopez. And I never thought I would have ever said that. That would have never came out of my mouth. But it happened. I don't know what's next because, I mean, honestly, if I'm a boxer and I see what Shakur did to Teo, I wouldn't even want to fight him. I don't know what's next. He did call out Conor Ben, though. Conor did show up. So maybe Shakur's going to move up in weight again. And that's probably a good move for him because after what he did to Teo, there's really nobody else for him to fight in the 135-pound division or the 140-pound division. Exciting names. If he moves up, there are some excitement right there. All right, now let's talk about this rumor I've been hearing. So, Team Usyk's director, Serhii Lapin, I'm sorry if I messed up that name, but he's the one that said that Andy Ruiz Jr. is actually being considered as a possible opponent for Usyk. He also said that Agit Kabayel, which is the WBC interim heavyweight champion, is also under consideration. Now, Usyk is another name where it's just like, man, he's beating everybody. He beat Anthony Joshua twice. He's beating Tyson Fury twice. He beats Daniel Dubois twice. It's like, who's there left? There was Fabio Worley's currently the IBF champion. And then after that, it's Moses Itama. But that guy, it's only like 20, 22, 21. And he just doesn't have the experience, I believe. So Usyk is one of those other fighters where it's just like, who's really left for him? There's not really, you could throw names, but there's nothing. There was even talks about him fighting Wilder, which I thought was crazy. But we'll see what Usyk does. Usyk's definitely earned to fight whoever he wants to at this point. Okay, let's talk about some news. Let's start with some big news. Canelo Alvarez is recovering from elbow surgery, so he is going to miss his May date. But he did come back with news saying that he's going to return in September to fight a reigning world champion, super middleweight division. Now, since I did bring up the super middleweight division, let me just talk about the current landscape and what it looks like. So right now, the WBA just announced that Armando Resendez is going to be the full champion. He got elevated, and WBC also did elevate Christian Mbilli to a full champion. Now, in the IBF, they did announce that Oleksandr Usyk will fight for the vacant title. I can't remember his opponent off the top of my head, but man, they ran through a list. Nobody wanted to fight Iglesias. So honestly, his opponent is announced. Whenever they schedule that date, that is a must-see action TV. I'm telling you right now, you do not want to miss that. But the WBO just announced that Shiraz is going to fight Arslanbek, I believe is his name, for the vacant WBO title, and that's expected in May in Manchester. So that's the current landscape. Now, I will talk about Christian Mbilli. I don't know who he's going to fight. I do remember WC about 5 days after his fight with Lester Martinez on the Crawford-Canelo undercard, they ordered a rematch for Mbilli to fight Martinez, and then they took it back. I don't know why. Oh, wait. It's because they wanted him to fight Shiraz, but Shiraz ended up going WBO route to fight Diego Pacheco, but then Diego Pacheco pulled out of the fight, which is mind-boggling. I don't know why you would pull out of that fight. He said that he pulled out because he has a new management and a new team, and he wants to get familiar before he fights again. That doesn't make any sense to me. Hopefully, Mbilli fights Lester Martinez again, because Lester Martinez deserves that rematch. They had a draw, and rightfully so. I do believe it was a draw, but they need that rematch to see who the true WC champion is. Let's talk WBA. Armando Resendez did say that he prefers fighting Jaime Munguia over anybody else because there was rumors that he was going to fight Edgar Berlanga. And he addressed the rumors, and he said that he prefers fighting Jaime Munguia. But he also did say in a separate interview that he wants to fight in May, maybe April. Now, here's a huge rumor right now. They're saying that Jaime Munguia and Armando Resendez are going to fight on the undercard of the Zordo Ramirez versus David Benavidez fight. Now, first off, let me say this. I want to go to that fight, okay? I completely want to go see David Benavidez and Zordo fight. It's going to be in Vegas. It's going to be in May. It's going to take over Canelo's spot. Man, if that happens, if Jaime Munguia and Resendez fight on the undercard, Jesus Christ, I don't even know what to say. That will be a stacked card, and I'm there. So with that being said, I don't know which route that Canelo will go, because it seems that every champion right now does have a fight, but it does look like most of the champions are going to fight before May or in May, so they should be ready by September. But who is Canelo going to fight? I don't know. My heart says Christian Mbilli, because Christian Mbilli did say he does want to fight Canelo, but he also said he wants a rematch with Lester Martinez. And if he rematches Lester Martinez, there's no guarantee that he is going to still have the belt at the end of the night. But yeah, we'll see what Canelo does once his date comes. Now let's talk about Zuffa Boxing. Dana White's new boxing promotion has entered the chat, and they have signed one of my favorite fighters, which I have mixed feelings about, but they signed him. Opetaia is expected to fight under the Zuffa banner March 8th. Now he's expected to fight and defend IBF and Ring Magazine title, which I'm a little confused about because Dana White said that he was not going to recognize the sanctioning bodies, but it seems like he is. So we don't know yet his opponent. There was this leak that his promotion, because he's being co-promoted for Zuffa, so his other promotion, Tasman Fighters, did say that he was supposed to fight the WBC champion in the cruiserweight division. However, they immediately deleted that shortly after. And then after interviewing Opetaia's manager, said that they're supposed to fight. These were separate interviews, by the way. The first thing he said was, we're expected to fight again in March against a light heavyweight that's going to move up to cruiserweight, and he's really good. And then in a separate interview, he said that we're going to fight, I think Ja actually said this, they're expected to fight an American who's really good. So those are 2 clues. I have been looking online to see who he might fight based off of those 2 clues. And no big names, in my opinion. I mean, it is what it is. I get it. Opetaia is going to be making his American debut. So why not fight an American? Hopefully after that, we could get some unification, undisputed. Because that's why he went to Zuffa. Because he said that Zuffa promised him they'll get him that undisputed title fight. They'll get him the unification fights. Like, he's going to fight the big names in his division. So I hope for the best for Ja. I really hope he becomes undisputed because that is one of my favorite fighters to watch today. All right, let's talk about some UK news. So Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder are supposed to meet in London on April 4th under the Misfits Pro banner, which is KSI's banner. It's kind of interesting, but you know, it is what it is. Wilder used to be one of my favorites, and he still is. I know when he fights, I'm still going to watch him no matter what, because he put American heavyweight boxing on the map for so long. He carried American heavyweight boxing for so long, did what he had to do, so he will forever be one of my favorites. Chisora is looking for his 50th fight. You know, they're both in age. Chisora obviously more up there in age, but this might be Wilder's last chance. Honestly, I hope that he does well. I hope Chisora does well. I hope this is a good fight. But April 4th in the UK should be a fun fight. All right, so we all saw this coming. Tyson Fury announced that he is coming out of retirement once again. This time he's going to fight Makhmudov April 11th in the UK, and it's going to be on Netflix, which is good, which is huge, because that's not a huge fight. That is not a huge fight at all. Tyson Fury is a big name, don't get me wrong. Tyson Fury is a huge name. But the opponent, he should flatline him. That opponent's tailor-made for Fury to show a dominant performance, honestly. I don't want to dwell too much on that fight. I do want to talk about Netflix. This isn't a big fight, but Netflix picked it up, and that's showing me something, because Turkey also said that him and Netflix have a huge fight or deal coming later this year. So the fact that Netflix isn't picking up, or the fact that Netflix did pick this up and it's not a huge fight, tells me they are interested in boxing just in general. They've only done big fights, or circus. I wouldn't say circus, but they've done big fights like Madison Serrano and Cage Part 3. That was a huge fight. They've done Jake Paul's fights against Mike Tyson and Anthony Joshua. Those are big fights. They've done Canelo and Crawford. Big fight. But they haven't done anything like mediocre, mid. And this would be the first time doing something that's not completely huge, completely big. So that does interest me, because I'm trying to see where's Netflix trying to go. That's very interesting. So keep an eye for that. All right. So with all that being said, now let's talk about next week's fights. So next week on Friday, we're going to have the bantamweight WBO champion, Christian Medina. He's going to defend his hometown in Mexico. He's going to fight against fellow countryman Adrian Carrell live on DAZN. That should be a fun fight. Honestly, 2 Mexicans. It's always fun, always action-packed. Don't miss that. Saturday, we're having one of my favorite fighters. He is a featherweight champion, the 126-pound Nick Wrecking Ball. He's going to fight former champion Brandon Figueroa. Now, Nick Ball, I wouldn't say he's controversial, but his last fight was definitely controversial. He kicked the dude. I think he should have been disqualified. But hey, the referee didn't disqualify him. That's the referee's choice. He ended up knocking out the guy. So this should be a fun fight. You know, Brandon Figueroa is really tall compared to Nick Ball. So let's see that. You know, he's always fun to watch. So yeah, that's also live on DAZN in the UK. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching. As always, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I do want to be more consistent with this. I am going to try to make this weekly. So yeah, please stay tuned. Please subscribe, and please have your notifications on. But thank you guys. So hopefully I'll see you next week.